All right, let's waste no time. I know you see the title of the video. It's me ranking all teams in the NFL, or my thoughts on all 32 teams, whatever you want to call it. I basically put this into 4 different tiers because I thought that was the easiest way to do it, so that I didn't have to say, well, are the Jets really the 16th or are they the 17th best team because, you know, the Chargers? So I just put them in tiers to make it easier for me, to make it easier for you all watching this. So tier 1, the Super Bowl contenders, these are 1 through 8, and I kind of put them in an order anyway, so if you want, I'm going to read them left to right off the tier list that I made. But number 1, the Chiefs, obviously, probably the best poised team for a three-peat that we've ever seen. Honestly, when I think about who can win the Super Bowl, I only put 8 teams in this bubble, but it's like really probably the Chiefs and 3 other teams. Like, I got some other teams when we get to the later half of this list on the Super Bowl contenders that are like, well, can they really win the Super Bowl? And you'll see who I mean when I get there. Number 2, the Niners, obviously. I know there's this whole thing with like teams that lose the Super Bowl getting back to it, that they would have to be the first team since Tom Brady did it however many years back to lose the Super Bowl and then make it back the next year. So will it happen? I don't know, but they're in the bubble. Then the Ravens and the Lions come in at 3 and 4, and those are 2 teams that were also in their respective championship games last year. So basically the top 4 are the exact same top 4 that finished out the year last year. Now, will that happen? Probably not. But that's just, in my mind, the teams that are the 4 best poised to make the Super Bowl. Now, the following 4, these ones can probably be slotted up or down depending on what you think. But I've got the Texans and the Bengals at 5 and 6. Now, these are the 2 teams where I feel like they have the next 2 best quarterbacks that have not been mentioned yet, aside from one, which we'll get to later. Now, CJ Stroud going into his second year, can he make it to a Super Bowl? Probably not. I mean, that's a little too young to make it there unless he's like, I don't know, Joe Burrow who did it. And again, Joe Burrow coming back from injury. Can he have a full healthy season? We'll see. Now, at my 7th and 8th, I didn't know what order to put this in, so I've got the Eagles and the Packers. I think the Eagles are out of their supernatural funk, and I think that the Packers are going to be able to take a leap forward, even though we've only seen like 7 or 8 good games from Jordan Love. I still think that those round out the top 8 teams for this upcoming NFL season, and those are the 8 teams I could see making a Super Bowl. Now, the second tier I have is playoff contenders, and you're probably like, Camden, or Bam Bam Cam, where are the Buffalo Bills? They're the first team in the playoff contenders because obviously they're favored to win their division, but I don't think anybody looks at the Bills as Super Bowl contenders anymore unless you're a Buffalo Bills fan, because look at their weapons, look at what they have surrounding them, and I couldn't justify taking out any of those top 8 teams because even though Josh Allen is better than probably 6 of those quarterbacks on that list that I just mentioned, I would take 3 of Green Bay's wide receivers over 1 of Buffalo's. Just having a better team all around got Buffalo up top. And as you know from my QB rankings, I think I had Josh Allen as the second best quarterback in the AFC. So I do think he's really good, but I don't think that this is the year for them to make the Super Bowl, especially since they've lost a bunch of their star players, especially Stephon Diggs. Now, the next couple teams in here can all be grouped together as they're not going to make the Super Bowl. Like, there's no chance. It's going to be the Cowboys, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins. One of them never made a Super Bowl in their career, the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though Lawrence should be a little bit better now that he's healthy. Other one we make fun of every year being the Dallas Cowboys, and then the Miami Dolphins, which I cannot justify putting higher than, 9, 10, 11, 12 on the list. We'll see what happens with Tua. Hopefully he can stay healthy, no more head injuries like 2 years ago. But after that, this is the only team that I feel like you can make an argument for they could be atop of this list in the top 8 because they've won a Super Bowl in the last 5 years, and that's the LA Rams. Stafford, he's getting to be up there in age, which is why I have him in this category. I still think they're poised to compete for a playoff spot, but I don't see them being a Super Bowl contender. Now, the next 2 I have are the Falcons and the Bucks, 2 teams that are it's basically the NFC South. Whoever from the NFC South can get there is a playoff contender, because the Bucks won it last year, and then the Falcons should be fine with Kirk Cousins returning from injury. Now, the 8th spot, I was between 2 or 3. You guys know I'm a Packers fan, but I'm also a Browns fan. I did not pick the Browns to be in this playoff contenders because I think their schedule is going to be too tough, even with Deshaun Watson being healthy. I've got the Chargers at that 16th team and that last team in the playoff contenders. I just think Jim Harbaugh is going to have his team ready to go. I mean, they run the football well. They got rid of Eckler. They brought in, I think it was Gus Edwards. He's going to pound that rock. We'll see what happens. Justin Herbert's going to be asked to do less, so hopefully he can produce a little more. The next category I had was in the hunt, and these were teams that I think can make the playoffs. Probably the top 4 or 5 of these can make the playoffs, or they have made a playoffs recently, but I'm just not seeing it this year. Number 1 is the Jets. Where is Aaron Rodgers, by the way? Does anyone know? Because I don't. The next couple can all be grouped together are the Browns, the Bears, the Steelers, and the Colts. All teams that are kind of right on that edge of the line always, except for the Bears. I just think Caleb Williams is going to be really good. But last year, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Colts were all 3 teams in the top, I guess, from 6 to 10 range of the AFC, or 5 to 10 range of the AFC. All teams that could potentially sneak in a wild card spot probably can't win their division. Following are 3 teams to round out the in the hunt teams that would have to really surprise some people to make the playoffs, and that's the Seahawks with Geno Smith, a healthy Kyler Murray, and the Saints. Last year, if I were to ask you off the top of your head, if you're not a Saints fan, what do you think the Saints' record were? Wrong, 9-8. They were 9-8 last year, and they didn't make the playoffs because obviously the NFC South is like but I believe that they were still in the hunt going into week 16, 17, 18 last year. Now, the final category are the bottom 8, and you've probably sat here and realized who the bottom 8 are going to be. In order, I've got the 24th or the 25th best team in the league being the Minnesota Vikings. We'll see what happens with Darnold and J.J. McCarthy, but they still have a pretty decent roster, and I like the coach, Kevin O'Connell. Next up, I've got Washington and Denver, two teams that have rookie quarterbacks coming in to play that role, unless, I don't know if Denver is going to start Zach Wilson or whoever they're going to start. But those are two teams that it could be hit or miss, basically. I'm picking them because Washington has a really good team surrounding the quarterback, and Denver has a solid coach. The next ones are kind of very big question marks. You could probably figure out who these are. It's going to be the Raiders and the Titans. Now, two teams, they're also in the bottom 8. The Titans, we don't know what Will Levis is up to. I mean, they kind of built some pieces around. They got L'Jarius Sneed from the Chiefs. And then the Raiders, again, they still have Max Crosby, still have Devonta Adams, still have some pieces, but we'll see if they're able to put it together with whoever their quarterback might be this year. Whether it's going to be Aiden O'Connell or it's going to be somebody else, we'll see. Now, the bottom 3 teams, I think these are pretty set in stone. It's the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Giants. I don't know what order you want to put them in, but the Patriots got nothing going for them. I just think maybe out of this list, they could be the best because of Jacoby Brissett. I love me some Jacoby Brissett. Nice, solid veteran starter presence that can fill that bridge between him and Drake May. Panthers, not buying Bryce Young this year. Maybe another year. I mean, hopefully he could put some together to win 5 or 6 games, but that's still a bottom 8 team in the NFL. And then finally, the Giants. Are they going to start Drew Lock or Daniel Jones? Probably Daniel Jones. Losing Saquon Barkley hurts. Who are their wide receivers? I mean, I guess they got Malik Neighbors, right, from the draft, but who, I don't see it with this team. They've got no skill other than like Kayvon Thibodeau, Malik Neighbors, and then if you really want to count Daniel Jones, you can. They have probably 3 or 4 players that I like. And that's going to round out all 32 NFL teams. I tried to breeze through this as quickly as possible. We got done in about 8 minutes. Pretty solid. 1 through 32. Those are my feelings about all the teams. You know what to do. Let me know if you disagree with me. I feel like the biggest thing I said that's wrong is going to be Buffalo and the playoff contenders, not the Super Bowl contenders. And then maybe I have some other teams flipped around that are too high. But let me know down below what you think. And don't forget, always subscribe, share with a friend. Show me some support, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.